In this video, I talk about degrees and whether you need them or not. Hey Daniel, roll the intro. So first of all, I want to start this video with, I'm actually not an enemy of education. I think advanced degrees are not so much important, but they're definitely like valued, and they certainly are valued in clinical research. But a lot of people, this is a question I get probably daily. Hey Dan, I really want to work in research, but I have a master's in whatever, something like epidemiology, something super difficult. Clearly, it's a smart person, and they're saying I'm between applying for jobs right now, but I'm not really getting much traction versus getting a doctorate. And so I'm not anti-education at all. I think it has its place in this industry. I think once you've been in this industry for a while, a good way to advance is advanced degrees. I personally have an MBA. Now, has it helped me get certain jobs? I'd be lying if I said no. So I've been able to be a psychometric rater for a lot of studies. We do a lot of psychiatry studies at my sites throughout the years, throughout the last decade and a half, almost 2 decades. And if it wasn't for that master's degree, I would not be qualified to do a lot of those skills. But I have been able to, solely because of that M after a comma, that I have been able to do rating skills. So I'd be lying to say that my master's degree hasn't helped me. But that's about the extent of where it's helped me. Now, that's pretty significant. Like, my site's been doing psychiatric trials since I started research, since 2005 when I first got started. So it is significant, but it didn't help me become a CRA. It didn't help me become a site owner. It didn't help me get CRO projects. It didn't help people take me more seriously when I'm having discussions on Latinos in clinical research or talking to people on a daily basis. Like, I don't think people care too much. There is a diminishing rate of returns. Now, my advice to you, and we can make this a very short video, is just get started in your research career. Period. Like, just get started and then worry about advanced degrees. If you want to go get a doctorate or 3 doctorates, go do it. But if you're using that as an excuse or something to make you feel better or fool yourself into thinking, hey, I'm not getting the promotions I need because I don't have a PhD. That's usually not the case. Now, there are certain roles, again, certain positions you absolutely need doctorate level degrees. Medical science liaison, for the most part, you need a PharmD, an MD. Usually MDs don't do the MSL roles. They usually do medical monitor roles. If nothing else, PhD. PhD is certainly going to help you get a lot of other jobs like that. But it's not going to help you climb industry ladder. Like, if you want to be a project manager and then, hey, I want to be a CTM or I want to be a study director, having that PhD is not necessarily going to help you become a study director. There is a greater ROI, that means return on investment, on your actual work that you've done. I really think being a coordinator will do more for your career. Being a coordinator for 4 years, because that's how long it takes to get an advanced degree. A master's is 2, but a doctorate could be 4. So let's say 4. Being a coordinator for 4 years, where you are like a generalist coordinator, is going to do more for your career than a master's or a PhD. And I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for that. Now, the thing we got to ask ourselves is, what are you looking to achieve? Because if you want a role and you know that role, like, you've done your homework, you've talked to people, you've went on LinkedIn, and you've seen that the majority of people with those jobs have master's or PhD degrees, then yeah, you're right. You're going to need one of those degrees. So if you can find a good amount of people on LinkedIn without any fancy degrees that have those roles, that means that the problem is not your lack of education. it's your lack of experience, or maybe it's something else going on. Like, you sometimes have to do an internal assessment of your strengths and capabilities. Do a SWOT analysis on yourself: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. That's really what it boils down to. So there is a place where degrees will help you advance your career. And I recommend, if someone has a burning desire to get an advanced degree, master's, PhD, I think when the economy turns better and employers are out there trying to do what they can to retain their staff, sometimes they will even pay for you to get an advanced degree. So right now, in a 2024 world, the job market is a little tough. It's competitive. It's a little slow. You may not have those organizations willing to help you pay for your degree, but maybe you should consider it when the market improves. Now, what I really want everyone to do is try to get even volunteer experience, even internship experience, network more. None of that stuff costs very much money. But some of these degrees, masters, PhDs, they can cost six figures. You can go into debt, and then you come out of that feeling like you need to start earning high income right away, which I understand why. It's very logical, but that's not the way the market works at times. The market values experience, and I'm going to pull up a question I got here from someone on LinkedIn who was asking me if they should get a PhD if they want to work in research. And the answer I told him was definitely not. Like, you need to go look at site levels. The problem with your expensive degree is going to be, as soon as you graduate, you have a debt. You're going to start having student loan payments. So you're not going to be able to say yes to every job that comes your way. And to learn a lot about this industry, you really start from the bottom up. Like, the site level, you're going to start as a research assistant. You might start as a coordinator. There are no more entry level jobs at CROs, really. There used to be. They're not anymore. So now you're kind of like stuck between a rock and a hard place. I think the better bet is to just go for the job experience. Get your hands dirty, even if it's just internship experience. You can get a lot of experience on your belt with internship experience. I do think the future of a lot of industries, not just clinical research, is practical courses with real hands-on experience, like the CRA Academy that we have, or the CRC Academy. But the reason we wrote this book, Chris and I, in 2019, The Comprehensive Guide to Clinical Research, is to show you how practical it actually is to get started in this industry, whether it's a career seeker or whether it's somebody that wants to start a company. And that might be another thing you want to consider. Maybe start a consulting firm. Maybe start being an independent contractor. Figure out how to be a generalist. Like, if you want to be a monitor, no one's going to hire a monitor with no experience, but they would hire a coordinator that had enough experience at the site, 2 to 5 years, to eventually become a startup specialist or an in-house CRA, and then eventually become a CRA. Now, for those roles, you do need a degree, but you may not need an advanced degree. You need at least a bachelor's degree to be a CRA. So I do think the point of diminishing returns, and I'm not talking about medical writers, I'm not talking about people who design protocols. I know I have a lot of critics out there saying, well, you need PhDs because they got to do study design, and they got to build out the protocol, and they got to follow the patient journey and figure out how everything interconnects. Epidemiology, you need stats. Of course you need advanced degrees for that stuff. But the majority of people that work in this industry, that my core audience, are people that want to be monitors. They want to be project managers. They want to be CTMs. They work in operations. They don't work in the design of the study. They don't work in regulatory affairs. You can get to that. And by the way, I've helped design studies. I only have a master's degree, and I have a master's degree in business. It's not a science master's degree. I have a bachelor's in science, and then I have an MBA. if you're talking about study design, traditionally you're thinking somebody with a master's in public health, master's in epidemiology, a master's in biostats, a PhD in biostats. That's the traditional type of education you need for those roles. But if I wanted to go do that stuff right now, and I don't actually have a skill set in epidemiology or biostats, so I don't think I can do that. But I have helped. I can go take a few courses, and learn, become dangerous enough to help people. And if I probably worked alongside biostatisticians or people that design protocols all day, I could probably get pretty good at it after a year or two, right? With my current level of education. But if I have actually helped design protocols, and that's now I know where to stay in my lane, and that's only because I understand the inner workings of research from an operational standpoint, specifically as it pertains to the site level dynamics and sponsor CRO level dynamics, right? I'm not regulatory affairs. Whenever we get CRO projects, we do have to find consultants and contractors that would contract that work out to. One of my business partners, Robert Goldman, he's really good at that stuff. That's his expertise. If I just shadowed him for a year, I would get pretty damn good at that as well with no degree. So that it's not the degree that's going to teach you. It's you getting in the trenches and actually doing the work. And no degree. Matter of fact, there becomes a point where you could become overqualified for some of these entry level roles. I know so many people with PhDs that sites don't want to hire them. And sites don't want to hire them because they fear they're going to lose them. So if you're at that crossroads where you're like, hey, I don't know, I have a bachelor's degree. I don't know if I should get my master's degree because I'm having a hard time getting jobs. Or I have a master's, should I get my PhD because I'm having a hard time getting jobs? It's not going to necessarily help you in the short run. It's going to help you in the long run, of course. If I had a PhD in biostats and all my experience that I've had of 2 decades of study design, working at sites, working as a monitor, working at my CRO, of course, more sponsors will be confident in giving me tasks like, hey, help us formulate a regulatory submission pathway for our IP. Of course they would be. Or if I had a PhD in biostats, of course they would take me seriously when it comes to biostat conversations. Right? But that's not necessarily because of that degree. That's really because of that experience. And now we're getting into very specialized jobs where degrees are more valuable. But early on in your career, you want the flexibility to choose. You want to be a generalist. So you're more likely going to start out as a coordinator and work your way up. And to all the entrepreneurs out there, I know I'm speaking your language because the last thing you want, if you're a true entrepreneur, the last thing you want is more education. You want to go out and do, because entrepreneurs are generally from the school of hard knocks, where they learn by doing and they learn by failing and they learn by getting up and doing it again until they get it right or until they run out of money and figure out, hey, I need to actually try it a different way. Career seekers, it's different. And I know it's tempting because it's easier to go to school than to go out there and network and take jobs that are beneath you while you're learning. But it's gonna be better off for your career going forward. The industry is moving away from getting too complicated as far as people's jobs are concerned because it's a global market now. So you're not just competing with US jobs. Like you biostatisticians, you're competing with biostats people all over the world, not just the US anymore. And guess what? They'll work for like a quarter of what you will work for. And their student loans don't cost what yours did. It's not a fair game. So you got to learn the rules of the game. The world is flat. AI, we haven't even started discussing technology and how that's a deflationary force. There is a time and place for education, but there's more of a time and place for actually rolling up your sleeves and doing something, even if it's volunteering, even if it's interning, even if it's doing entry level roles like coordinating, which is not really an entry level role. but a lot of sites will hire you entry level if you're promising. So you got to really go out there and learn the fundamentals of this book, specifically site level dynamics, and understand how all the stakeholders play together with one another. Go on LinkedIn, look at the jobs you want, and then do a profile of the educational level of those people. And look at when they got what jobs versus when they got what degree. And map it out. And you'll see, yeah, they have a master's or a PhD, but they didn't get that PhD or that master's until they had this job. That's all I'm saying. Not against degrees, not against advanced education. But I don't think it's going to help a lot of the majority of the people watching this video yet. It will help you later. By the time it will help you, you'll know for sure with strong conviction of whether you need to do it or not. Because there's certain jobs that require these degrees, but the majority do not. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Bye-bye. Hey, if you guys like that kind of content, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share. Stay tuned for more videos.